Inspiration, everybody. Look for inspiration. And learn a little bit about Florence before you get here. Even though this is a textile or printmaking class, I still want to give you a little bit of information about Florence and its history. I'm showing you some more separations that we have to make for doing our screen prints so that you start to understand a little bit better what they are and how they should look. I was talking about texture. I found these, and these have another texture that was done with a big paintbrush for painting your house or your furniture. And that it came out very good on the silk screen, and all these textures that you can see from the brush stroke showed up really clear, and she was able to play with it a lot, actually. She created designs. Many of the designs are really I want you to do a really fixed one first. Many of the designs are very fixed, and they have to go exactly in a certain way. But some things, sometimes you take a shape. Like this is the same person. And you make some screens with a bunch of shapes. And then when you're printing, you're composing like a painter. You're composing the different parts and elements. And each print can be a monoprint of its own. And various interesting things can happen. So this person made a number of images with textures and shapes. And when she printed, she created the design, composed it, like was her canvas. The big piece of paper or the fabric, she did both, was her canvas. And she took all of her little shapes and pieces and spatters and whatever, and created the design when she printed instead of having a fixed design. But that's what we're going to do first, is a very fixed design. But there's a lot of liberties with screen printing. You can go a lot of different directions. So this is a little bit different. But I wanted to show the nice texture that you can get, because don't forget about texture. Texture is nice to have. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. Photography. I've got a bunch of photography examples here. This is an example of posterizing. On your computer, you can do the CYMK, the color separation, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. It has a little program, I believe, that you can use to automatically separate it. Posterizing is basically just different exposure times. Now, this I did on lithograph film a long time ago when it was, I have some. It was much easier to find with the regular and larger in the darkroom and special high contrast developer. And what I did was I tried to make a normal contrast, normal exposure. Then I made one that was a little bit too dark and another one that's a little bit too light. And you have these three, and that's called posterizing. You can make more separations if you want. Generally, 3 is enough to get the effect that you want. And it has sort of this Andy Warhol kind of quality look to it. So the lion he's in Piazza Signoria, this little lion. Oh, the lion, by the way, is a mascot of Florence. Marzocco, okay? And another one of these. We can do these separations probably now with your computer and a printer. But at the time, did it in the dark room within the larger, the old way, before we had all of that available with the computer. Here's another one that was a portrait. Let's see. Let's see if I can show you. Can you see it if I hold it up, or is it too? You have to put the paper underneath it, I think. Here we go. Okay, that's the normal exposure. And it's her self-portrait holding a little Polaroid photograph in front of her face, looks like. And then we did one that was a little less exposure, lighter. And then we did another one that was very dark. And when these get exposed on the screen, each one opens up differently on the screen. So you get more of the screen opens up with this really dark one. So you print a light color with that, not a dark color. And then you print your lightest one is your darkest color, like the opposite. And then this is your middle tone color, which I usually print that first, and then I put the light one and the dark one on top of it with transparent colors for posterizing. The CYMK, I do cyan first usually, then I print magenta, then I print yellow, and then I put the black on top. This one is this one was done with the computer. It's actually turned. It was the design was a photograph of a little corner in a ceiling. I don't know if you can see the angel at the top. And the student did a mirror image on the computer to get, and then it's an automatic repeat. If it's a mirror image, it fits together. Okay. So then she made with her computer one for the cyan, one for the. Let me see if I can figure out which is which. This one is definitely the black. The one with the least on it is always the black one. And the darkest one is usually, probably this is the yellow one. And then one of these was the magenta and one of these was the cyan. Usually the two sort of middle one. This one had a lot of magenta, so I think this is the magenta and this is the cyan. That's the yellow and that's the black. So the black, the cyan, the yellow, no, the yellow and the magenta. Okay. But that's not the order I printed. I usually print the magenta, the cyan first, because then I can see what I'm doing to fit the other colors into it. So I usually print the cyan first. Most people think print the yellow first, but if you print the yellow first, it's really hard to register. So it's better to do one that you can see clearly, and that's usually the cyan or the magenta one. So I do the cyan, then I do the magenta, then I do the yellow, and then I do the black on top of that. But that one was done on the computer. Okay. And this is a photograph that one of the villas that has palm trees. And these are her separations. I don't remember exactly which is which on here, but probably that has something to do with the green or the blue, because it has a lot of black there. If you don't know, you have to really definitely mark what color is which. But if you don't know, I can probably figure it out because I know just about which areas turn black with the filters of the. So I can usually figure out this is either probably the cyan or the yellow. That one. This one was her staircase. It's a little harder to see it. So it was a photograph she took in the hallway of her apartment here, the staircase. It looks very dark on these, but in the end, the print came, because it was a dark hallway. In the end, the print, I'm missing one of them. The print came out quite nice, actually. And it showed her entryway into her apartment here in Florence very well. What do I got here? Oh, this one, now you can also do a lot of things with combining some drawing and photograph together. So this is her self-portrait on the film, and there's another one under there that she's drawing. But she's put a piece of tracing paper, and she loves stippling, really loves stippling, and did stippling on top, and that was going to be part of the photograph along. So it wasn't just so graphic. There was a little bit of this human touch to it. Here's another one that was done on the computer. It's a textile design. It's sort of hard to see. I believe the image is right here, one of these units. And it's a row of birds. Looks like parrots. Anyway, she mirror imaged it on the computer and flipped it that way and mirror imaged it. And with mirror imaging, you definitely get a repeat that works, and it was printed on a fabric. This one is inspired. There's a little fresco in one of the museums of Florence when it was just growing. And this was inspired from that fresco, I'm sure. I think it's in the Bigalo. So this is the main image. Florence at that time didn't have the cathedral yet in this old fresco that I'm thinking about. But the baptistry was built because the baptistry is at least 1,000 years old. So the baptistry is the main thing that's in that fresco because the cathedral wasn't made yet. I think it showed a little piece of the cathedral. They were just starting to build it. And then a little bit of the Palazzo Vecchio was also in that same fresco. So this was inspired from that. And these are that's her main one. She liked the pen and ink. And these are all her little separations for all the different colors that were in that. Quite loose and free, nicely done, yeah. If you like drawing and pen and ink, this works really good for you. Yeah. And crayon texture is also good to have. Lithograph crayons work really well. And lithograph pencils also. This one here is for a textile. And she's taken her Italian. It says gatto, which means cat. And she was missing her little kitty back home. So she decided to do a scarf about her cat back home. And this is the cat and her milk and her yarn. And the design, when she printed it, this is the background color. It was rotated. You print here, you print there, print here, and you print here. And then you put this color on top of it, and then you have quite a large scarf with the cat repeated 4 times on it. Came out nice. I've had other people do their pets that they were missing back home. So this was her cat. Somebody did their dogs. Okay. This one here, I had told everybody to get some design from Florence. And this was a textile student. So she noticed there was this shell shape in a lot of the architectural details around the city, especially above doors a lot, the half shell. And in the painting by Botticelli. But I believe she just got this off of one of the ones that's above doors, a lot of doors. And we put it into repeat. And since it's a shell, something about the sea, this is supposed to be about water, the second color. And then that fits into here, like that. So it's a simple textile, 2-color, her first one, 2-color textile. And she was a fashion student. And I remember her teacher back home said, you have to make a piece of fabric to bring home and make a dress out of when you get home. So she had to print a lot of it. This was another girl from that same group. And she saw all these little putti, little angels that are decorating everything all over this. There's lots of them everywhere in the city, these little baby angels, putti. And so she made a repeat. This is called a half drop. And it drops halfway. So it's a vertical repeat. And we worked it out on graph paper and with photocopies and pasting all our little photocopies together until it works as a unit that repeats itself. And then we just did the 2 colors. These were summer students. They didn't have much time. So we did the 2 colors, and these are her 2 colors, her linear part and her solid part of her color. And she also had to make 3 yards so that she could make a dress with it when she got home for her fashion class. Sometimes the teachers back home have some anticipation what they want the students to bring back. So this was how we were accommodating that one. I think this may have been from the same group. This one's quite nice. She's taken the symbol of Florence and turned it around and turned it into stripes and made quite an interesting design out of the symbol of Florence. And it's also in a half drop repeat. And these are the 2 separations. It was the same group of fashion students. This was another fashion student. And she took daisies, daisy-like flowers, and this is her paper repeat. And this one is, so that's the main. We have to make this first, and then we can trace all of the parts from that. So this is the main part that you see there in the paper. And then this was for the leaves. And this was for the color inside. This was also a summer student, fashion summer student. Yeah. And that's the other cover. This came out very nice, and it was quite easy to print, too. She printed it, was able to print a really large piece quite quickly. So we will be seeing you in the studio, and we'll have lots of fun.